Hey there, YouTube. WhiskeyCactus here, welcoming you back to our Heart of the Woods Let's Play. This is episode number 7. And last time, some different things happened. We actually, switched into the point of view of both Tara and Morgan at different points throughout the story. And most importantly, we learned that Maddie was a goth when she was a kid, and that's fucking amazing. But actually, most importantly, we learned that maybe Morgan's mom can do mind control. So we're gonna load up, and we're gonna jump right the fuck back into that, because that's some important shit. So here we go. She's at the door, by the way. And things might get a little weird. Now, Maddie doesn't know that she might be doing mind control, because she might be doing mind control on Maddie. We don't really know any of that for sure. That's just hearsay. So let's continue. I undo the latch and come face to face with Evelyn again. Good afternoon. Hi there. My previous encounter with her on the way back from the church flashes through my mind and sets me on edge. There's a man I don't recognize with her, too, adding to my unease. We heard there was an issue with the heater, so we've come to fix it. Don't want you freezing to death out here. Her demeanor is a 180 from last time. I wonder which of them let her know. Maybe Tara mentioned it earlier today. Oh, thanks. That'll be a big help. Aren't you going to let us in? It's a trap. It's a trap. You have to let them in, or else they can't come in. I realize that I'm blocking the doorway and step back to make room. It's technically her cabin. Don't really have a right to say no. Yeah, sorry. The guy with her brushes past me and heads to the heater, getting right to work. Meanwhile, Evelyn and I both sit down in the living room. I stare at the floor, hoping that she'll start the conversation, but she seems content to just look around the room, admiring the decorating. When she clears her throat, I flinch. I'm very sorry for the discomfort it must have caused. Even a single night without the warmth can be most unpleasant. She stares at me intently, like she's hoping for me to catch some hidden meaning. Whatever it is lost on me. It's fine, it was just one night. Thanks for taking care of it so fast. Of course. Are you the only one home today? Yeah, Tara's out. Can't imagine that Evelyn doesn't know about her and Morgan, or at least that the two of them have been spending so much time together. She and Morgan live in the same house, after all. But Evelyn's eyebrows raise. Is she now? My daughter said your friend was here. She wouldn't be foolish enough to venture into the woods on her own, would she? The weather's looking quite dire. My mouth goes dry. Even Tara wouldn't be that reckless, right? I don't think so. Good. Only a fool would go out in this. As if on cue, a heavy gust of wind blows, making the whole cabin creak. Through the window, I can see the snowfall has already gotten heavier. Thick, heavy flakes mask the glass and obscure the view outside. The workman finishes up and moves closer to the couch. He still hasn't said a word since he arrived. Maybe he's being mind-controlled. Oh, God. This got very, very scary. Seems we're finished here. Do take care, Madison. And don't hesitate to call if you need help with anything else. Will do, thanks. Bye, bitch. The two of them leave as abruptly as Morgan always does. The moment the door shuts behind them, I leap up and head for the landline phone. I don't know what that was all about at all, but it's obvious there's something more going on than I'm aware of. Something sinister. There's a small scrap of paper jammed underneath the phone with Morgan's phone number scribbled on it. I dial and wait, praying that the weather won't render the phone useless. It rings and rings and rings, but doesn't pick up. Eventually, it goes to a generic voicemail message delivered in an automated voice. Damn it! Slam the phone back to reset it and then dial again. Please, please, please. If she's not there, if she's not with Morgan, then I don't know what I'll do. I don't know where else she could be. On the third ring, the phone clicks and someone answers. Is it Evelyn already? Well, it's garbled and hard to hear her, likely because of the storm. Morgan? The person on the other line says something unintelligible. Hello? Maddie? It's just barely clear enough for me to hear my name. Yeah, it's me. Hey, listen, is Tara with you? There's another pause and some staticky noise, then a beep as the line goes dead. Frantically, I hit the redial button. This time she picks up on the first ring. Hey, it's me. Is Tara with you? There's a noise, but I can't tell if it's her answering me or just interference. Sorry, what? Again, the only response is garbled nonsense. I tried to talk to her several more times, but nothing is intelligible. I don't even know if she can hear me. The call drops again, and this time I don't bother calling back. I could try to send her an email, but it'll take forever before the webpage loads enough for me to do that. I try to make myself calm down. Logically, she's got to be with Morgan. There's nowhere else she'd go. Evelyn must have missed her somehow. I go to one of the windows, using my sleeve to brush away the fog that veils the glass. Oh god, is Tara dead? It's already a blizzard out there, snowing harder than anything I've ever witnessed. That's when I see her. Oh shit. Flash of red hair over by the tree line. Tara. She's just standing there. When she notices me, she waves. What the hell is wrong with her? I pound on the glass, pointing downwards to indicate that she should come in. I'm inside, you moron! What are you doing? I know she can't hear me, but she keeps waving. Then she turns and walks into the forest. What the fuck? What the fuck? Is she being mind controlled? Is everybody being mind controlled? I don't know what to believe anymore, man. What the hell? She's lost it. She's absolutely lost it. I fight against the wind just to open the door. Tara! My voice is swallowed up by the wind. There's no way she could have heard me. I try yelling again, but the cold stings my throat. Is this some idea of a joke to her? It's a terrible one, if so. Stepping out the front door, I can barely see her amongst the trees and swirling snow. She's just standing there waiting for me. I linger, not sure what to do. Can't just leave her there, but going out in this would be asinine. She waves again, more urgently. She clearly wants me to follow her. Maybe she needs my help. Maybe someone's been injured. Still, the storm. For a second I'm out here, the cold seeps a little bit further into me. I need to decide. Oh god, am I gonna have to decide? I bet I have to decide. We're gonna save, hold on. I wonder if I have to decide. This game has not had any choices yet, so I'm not really sure, but I clench my fists. Okay. If nothing else, I know that Tara would come for me. Oh, alright. So the game's gonna decide for us. Bracing myself, I start walking towards her. It's nearly impossible. Just keeping my balance and remaining upright is a chore. Every step I take feels like a battle against nature. Slowly, though, I do it. Once she sees that I'm following her, she starts walking again. I wish she'd wait for me to catch up so she could at least tell me what's going on. When I cross the... oh god, no escape. When I cross the tree line, the wind gets noticeably better, although the cold is no less bitter. Oh boy. Oh boy. Tara doesn't seem phased. She's still forging ahead, always in the distance no matter how fast I go. It's not Tara. Close enough to see, but not close enough to hear. Is it Abby? Abigail? After a few more minutes, I finally start to inch closer to her. Can't feel my hands or my feet, and my teeth won't stop chattering. I need to stop her now. Tara! My mouth is shaking too much for me to form any sort of coherent phrases. If I wasn't already genuinely scared, I am now. Then, without warning, Tara stops. She stands completely still, back toward me. I do my best to push forward, finally making my way to her. Tara, we have to... I give up on words, instead reaching out towards her. My fingers are numb and heavy. Before I can touch her shoulder, though, she turns around, and she's a corpse. And my blood runs as icy as my skin. Oh! Well. I guess that's not Tara. Her face is completely smooth and featureless like a mannequin. Her clothes, her hair, everything else are a perfect replica. But her face is an empty void. This isn't Tara. This isn't even human. Oh god. Oh god! A sharp taste of bile rises in my throat as I stumble back, repulsed. As I stare in horror, she begins to flicker like a light bulb going out. No. No, 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 no. This isn't real. This can't be real. This isn't happening. This can't be happening. Still flickering, the thing begins to move. Its shoulders start to shake as it rocks back and forth, tilting its head back slightly, doesn't make a sound, but its intention is clear. It's laughing at me. I fall backwards, hands scrambling through the snow that I can no longer feel. I scuttle away from it as best I can, though it doesn't even try to follow me. It just rocks, celebrating its triumph over me. This seems bad. Maybe a ghost will save us. My shoulder smashes into something hard, sending a stinging pain through me. It's a tree. I try to stand up, but I've lost all sensation in my legs. My fingers scrabble desperately, uselessly at the hard earth and slick bark, but I can't find any purchase. I try to stand, and my feet slide from beneath me as I crash back to the ground. Each effort is harder than the last. I try several more times to stand, but I can't. Exhausted, I lie there, cheek pressed against the frigid ground. I can't even feel it. My face burns as it's buffeted with more and more snow. My thoughts run ragged. I know how hypothermia works, how fast it can set in. Surprisingly quickly, I'd once read. My body temperature only needs to drop a couple degrees to start shutting down. I can't muster the effort to move. The fake Tara is gone now, and space it occupied is empty. I'm alone. Or so we think. The realization crosses my mind. Surprisingly lucid. I'm going to die. This is the end. There's no after this. I've reached the end of my life. Snow accumulates on my body. What parts I can feel burn. I'm grateful for those that I can't. My breath is barely even a wisp of vapor. I try to tell myself that I'm wrong. Someone will find me. I can't die out here. I'm not some mountain adventurer. I'm not the kind of person this happens to. I can't freeze to death. I can't. But I'm going to. What about Tara? And BT? And my family? I can't just leave them all behind because I ran too far into the woods. That's just not how this works. I try to push myself back up, but I can't move my arms. I can't move anything. I'm sure that if my body allowed me, I'd be crying. I don't want to die. Alright, I'm gonna save again, just in case anything weird happens. I don't want to die. Oh boy. I don't want to die. Well, luckily, a ghost's gonna come save me, or am I gonna become a ghost? Oh dear, I don't know. My consciousness fades. Oh, a piercing light that should be unpleasant, but isn't, shines in front of me. I will my body to reach for it, but I can't. Then I understand. It isn't meant for my hands to touch. I let go of it all, giving myself up. But then, a sound. Imperceptibly loud, deafeningly quiet. Something vibrant and full of life fills my tired eyes. It blocks the light. And then... It's Abigail! Hi! Oh, there she is! An angel appears. Oh, that's not an angel. Chapter 3. Well, shit. Alright. I'm not cold. We're gonna save again. Gonna save again. Still no choices. I'm not sure if there are any choices in the game. I think there are. But we have yet to find any. I'm not cold. I'm not warm either. I'm not anything. Not even sure I'm awake. All I can see is vast, profound blackness. I realize my eyes are shut. Are they frozen shut? I try to move my arms to rub my face, but those feel frozen too. With great effort, I manage to wrench my eyes open. Now we're in the church. I'm flat on my back. Right above me is a familiar curved wood ceiling. The gray smudges in my peripheral vision are the pews where I sat and read with Abigail just days ago. I'm in the church. I try to remember how I got here, but all I have are glimpses of what happened. Waking up alone. The mayor dropping by unannounced. Following Tara. Not Tara. Even nearly immobile, a shiver creeps up my spine at the thought of that thing. And after that, comes back to me as an avalanche, running, stumbling, and falling, and being so cold. I can recall the dread as it happened, as I gave up, when strength left my body and my eyelids couldn't bear being open any longer. But how did I get from there to here? There's the sound of rustling cloth from beside me. I force my head to turn and look. And there she is. Warm, radiant, just an arm's length away. Abigail. I blink, expecting her to vanish, to be a figment of my imagination. But when my aching eyes open once more, she's still there. Worry wrinkles her face. She saved me, didn't she? There's no other explanation. I muster this... But wait a second, though. Wait a second. She couldn't touch me before. She couldn't touch me before. We were able to phase through her. So how could she have rescued me? Interesting. I muster the strength to smile up at her. She smiles back, though it doesn't reach her eyes. Oh shit, I gotta come up with a voice for Abigail.
Hello, Madison. I'm glad you're awake.
I guess. It's good enough. In the otherwise silent church, her voice rings out like a bell. The first words I've ever heard her say. I can hear her. We can speak to each other. I'm fucking dead. That's why. Oh, I am definitely dead. Understanding pierces through my exhaustion. With that understanding comes a whole cascade of realizations. A million feelings rush through me, and I don't know what order to process them. Two concepts stand out among everything else. Her voice is lovely, soft, and gentle like she is. And I must be dead.
Abigail.
I mumble out the only coherent thought that I have. She slides from the bench she was sitting in to the ground, kneeling on the floor beside me.
That's right, I'm here.
She leans over me, the serene portrait of a heaven-sent angel. She's here. That can only mean one thing. My head doesn't hurt. My back isn't sore, despite spending lying on the cold stone floor for hours. I can hear and speak with Abigail. I died, didn't I? And you saved me and brought me back here. She rubs her face, a pained look on it that she can't brush away.
You're not quite dead, but you're not alive either. Rather, you're somewhere in between life and death. Like me. That's the best way I can put it.
I can tell that her tone is supposed to be optimistic, but to me she sounds entirely too cheerful for someone narrating my own demise. Still, I suppose this is better than the alternative. It's gonna make me choose to stay with her or to come back to life at the end, isn't it? Oh shit. Then, thank you. Her smile gets just a little bit smaller.
Please don't mention it. Really, I'm sorry that we hadn't been just a little bit faster. If we'd arrived sooner.
She looks away, guilt twisting her face. Excuse me, who is this we?
It's okay, it's not your fault.
Even in my addled state, I know that much. I shut my eyes, hoping that this might be a dream, and that when I open them, I'll be safe and sound in my bed at the cabin. I'm not, of course. There's nothing above me but stone. I force myself to sit up. The motion catches her attention, and Abigail lunges forward, ready to catch me if I fall.
Oh, don't strain yourself.
But there's still no pain or soreness. Instead, it's like each individual part was switched off, and I have to reactivate them. Maybe that's not far from the truth. Once I've sat up, I'm able to stand without any issue. The heaviness falls away like a blanket.
I think I'm okay.
To demonstrate, I pace back and forth a couple steps, feeling like I'm just stretching my legs. I reach out and flex my fingers, staring at their strange, glimmering transparencies. Oh shit, I'm a ghost. The whole time she watches intently, poised to intervene if anything goes wrong. Nothing does. I'm fine, relatively speaking. I look towards Abigail for approval, with the most earnest smile I can muster. She visibly relaxes. I then sit down on one of the pews. Abigail sits down beside me. Oh, look at them. They're so cute. It's bizarre. Despite years of existential dread, I don't know how to feel about my own past tense death. Well, Abigail did say that it's not quite death, it's just not exactly life either. Obviously, it's gotta be a bit more complicated than that, but right now it's helping to soften the blow a bit. I look down at my hands. They're normal and clean, not bloating and turning purple like in the last few moments. The rest of me seems similarly plain. Apparently I was well preserved. There's one difference I wonder about, though. I press my finger to the stone that we're sitting on. Or at least I try to, but my hand just passes through. Doesn't feel like anything. Right. Next to me, Abigail does the same thing, pressing her hand up to her wrist. Pressing her hand in up to her wrist. She giggles and my heart skips a beat.
Forgotten how it feels at first. It's kind of wondrous.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Once you get used to it, it's really quite convenient. It'll just take a bit of time.
Abigail stands and gives me a huge smile, probably not realizing just how scary that thought is to me. I don't really want to spend however long it takes to get used to it like this, but she's clearly excited to talk. I am too, regardless of the circumstances. So I won't spoil the moment. Yet.
How long has it been since then? Since
you know. Even thinking of the word died causes my throat to constrict with terror. It's not death, I remind myself. If I can feel afraid, then it can't be death.
It's been over a day. You've been unconscious this entire time. I was afraid that perhaps I'd done it wrong, that you might not ever wake up.
But here I am. I can see her eyes sparkle with tears. Despite the fact that I'm standing right here, even the thought of my demise almost makes her cry.
Yes, here you are.
How did you do it? I remember thinking that I was gonna die for sure. She looks away from me, fidgeting with her dress.
As I said, we arrived too late to save your life. The cold had already set in, and you were so far from home. But we were able to save your spirit, your soul, the important part of you, and that's what you are now.
A spirit? She nods. That's what you are too, right? Another nod.
Exactly.
Her voice is gleeful. I can tell she's excited by this, and I can't blame her. After 200 years of solitude, I'm sure that I would be too. But for me, well, this is a nightmare wrapped in irony. Came to Eisenfeld as a skeptic, and now I'm this. It's so overwhelming. What will my parents say? Or my friends back home? And what about everything else I left behind? I never prepared a will or anything like that. I don't know what to think, what to feel. Suppose I should just be grateful that I'm not truly dead, but at the same time, I don't know what I'm missing out on. Maybe it would have been preferable. Wish I could have at least said goodbye. Especially to Tara, there's so much left unsaid. Wait, Tara. With a jolt, I turn to face Abigail. She flinches at how suddenly I move. Do you know if Tara's safe? My friend, the one who came here with me. I thought I was following her into the woods, but it was... The image of the fake Tara comes to mind, and with it a wave of dread. The memory of it is repulsive, simply in how false it was, how unnatural.
She's fine. As far as I know, she was never in any danger at all. I'm so sorry, Madison. You were tricked.
Right. I relax a little bit. Tricked. By what and how do you know? Here we go. Tricked by whom? Abigail. Oh, it wasn't you, was it? No, it couldn't have been, because then she wouldn't have come too late. Right? Abigail looks uncomfortable once more.
I'm not sure what name she uses now. The mayor of the village. Whatever you know her as.
Evelyn. So she's responsible. I'm not surprised in the least. The way she always seemed like a snake, coiled and ready to pounce. The bad feeling I got every time I interacted with her. She must have come by the cabin just to scope me out. She had probably been planning this all along. I shudder. Who is she, really? Why would she want to kill me?
I'll explain it later, but I promise you don't have to worry about her anymore.
Well, yeah, 'cause I'm dead now. Thank you. Clearly that's supposed to make me feel better, but it doesn't. Yeah, she's not a threat anymore, but only because she succeeded. I want to understand. I need to understand. Why would she want me dead? Guess I'll find out in time. 200 plus years. I just have one other question. Earlier, when you were talking about saving me, you kept saying we. Who else? Now her eyes regain that previous mischievous gleam that I've started to recognize on her.
Someone special. I'll take you to meet them if you feel you're ready for it.
I think so. There's nothing to be accomplished by sitting around feeling sorry for myself right now. I've spent enough of my time in Eisenfeld doing that as it is. Plus, I'm curious to see who might have helped Abigail. Who else could have known about her this whole time yet kept her a secret? That fucking tree monster thing. I stand up and absent-mindedly offer a hand to Abigail to help her up too. She takes it, then drops it immediately. Eyes wide and awestruck, she stares as if I'd sprouted a tentacle from my arm. Oh, I guess that's the first time she touched me, right? Tears spring to her eyes, seeping out to form a thin river down her face. Don't cry. What is it? What's wrong? Did I hurt you?
Your hand. I can feel it.
She's right, it hadn't even registered as different to me. But for the first time since we've met, I can actually touch and feel her there. She grabs my hand again, not standing. She closes her eyes as her fingers roam over mine, taking in the sensation. With anyone else, anyone on Earth, it'd be awkward, but somehow with Abigail, I don't mind. It's a little endearing, in fact. After a moment, she seems to realize what she's doing. With a yelp and a sheepish expression, she lets go.
I'm sorry, Madison. I just got so carried away for a moment.
It's fine, really. My skin still tingles with the feeling, vivid because of the absence of anything else. Abigail also gets to her feet without my help. Together we face the doors of the church. They look like they've been untouched since I was last here with Morgan and Tara. I wonder how they're taking it. I wonder if they even know yet that I'm gone. It's quite possible Tara hasn't even come by the cabin. It could be days before she knows. Push those thoughts out of my head, though. Doesn't make a difference at this point. I'm still alive and cognizant, at least in some capacity, and as long as that's true, then there's a hope that maybe I can get out of this situation. That also means there's a hope that maybe Abigail can get out of the situation, which would be very, very touching at the end if we're able to, like, bring Abigail back. Or something. I have my doubts. All I can do is hope and learn. Swallowing my fear as much as I can, I take the first step toward the door. Should we go meet your friend then? Just to warn you, he's big. It's calm outside. In the day or so that's passed, the weather seems to have also mellowed out. A thick layer of fresh snow coats everything, looking fluffy and inviting. A few clouds darken the sky overhead, but are nothing compared to the maelstrom that I got caught in. The occasional flakes that fall seem serene, not threatening. Of course, they pass right through me. Well, Abigail leads me into the woods. I try not to pay attention to how I can't hear my footsteps in the snow, or how the cold doesn't bother me. It's convenient, sure, but it's wrong. The two of us walk side by side deeper and deeper into the forest. This will be the farthest I've ever gone, since previously I'd never passed the church. Just like Morgan a few nights ago, Abigail seems to know exactly where she's going. Abigail, can you tell me a bit about what it's like now, being a ghost and all? Abigail's face lights up and she claps her hands together. Her steps become an eager skip.
Of course, I'd be happy to.
She clearly means it.
Where to begin? I found it to be quite convenient personally. As I said before, we're not ghosts per se, or at least not in the conventional way. Which is to say we're not dead. It's more like we're somewhere in between life and death. You and I are now fundamentally bound to the forest, and to everything else in it. In the forest, everything is connected. She frowns deeply, puffing out her cheeks. This is harder than I thought. I laugh. I guess even after centuries, she never expected she'd have to explain all of this to someone. It's fine. Take your time. Everything in the forest is connected. The trees, the grass, the birds, the foxes, that big fucking monster thing. Everything. That includes you and I, too. Connected how? Sexually. Abigail chews her lip as she tries to think of how to explain it. Her frown returns, deeper than before. Finally, she just shrugs. Magic.
Magic. You have to be a believer now. You're a fucking spirit. For Christ's sake. That makes sense. Please, Abigail nods. I still don't know what to think. I've only just woken up. I don't know how long it'll take for me to process everything and accept it, or if I ever will. Everything she says makes sense on a conscious level. I'm sure I could ace a test if someone were to ask me questions about it. But when I stop to think about how it affects me, about how these are now the restrictions and limitations that bind me, I stumble over nothing and clutch at my chest, feeling sick, but it's an impotent gesture. It doesn't help me feel any better. How? How can I be dead? How can this happen to me, of all people on Earth? This isn't fair. Isn't fair. Never wanted any of this. I never even wanted to be here. Can't keep my thoughts from spiraling. Every time I try to think about it, I'm just met with memories of dying and of fear. Fear for myself and for the future and what it might hold. Abigail rushes over, rubbing my back as she croons in my ear.
Madison, it'll be alright, I promise. I know it's a lot to take in, but it'll be okay. I'm here for you. I'm here.
I'm here. She repeats those words over and over, stroking my back until the moment passes. Dizziness fades in waves, and I slowly stand back up. In all, my little episode must have lasted seconds at most, but it felt so long.
Madison, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine now. Or at least better, thanks. Her hand doesn't leave my back.
Are you sure? We don't have to keep going right now. We could save this for another day.
I brush away the notion. It's fine. Let's keep going. If I just sit and do nothing, I'm sure I'd feel even worse.
If you're sure.
We resume our trek. The silence drags on for a while. Abigail shoots me glances every now and then, as if I'll disappear if she looks away for too long. In a morbid way, it's kind of funny. I looked at her the same way not too long ago, but she was bright and radiant, and I'm dead, I guess. Brings a question to the forefront of my mind. Earlier, Abigail stops. I try to avoid eye contact. You said something earlier about Tara, how it wouldn't be possible for Tara to even see me.
Correct.
She speaks with measured words. Despite how excited she's been, she's visibly holding herself back, like any wrong word will set me off again. It's not too far from the truth. But I was able to see you, even before all of this happened, so why couldn't she see me? Abigail lights up again, a look of pride beaming across her face.
That was projection. I've had a lot of practice. I'd be happy to teach it to you too, but it took me some time to learn.
I see. Decades. Abigail laughs nervously, trying to hide her slip. We lapse into an uneasy silence again. I take deep breaths, trying to distract myself from the hundreds of questions weighing on my mind. But my breaths feel empty, the lack of cold wind glaringly absent if I focus on it. So I focus on Abigail. She leads the way confidently. A passive smile rests on her face, and she looks more at ease now than I've ever seen anyone be. Every step she takes seems to push us forward, farther than any natural pace. The words she said earlier replay in my head about how the forest will help take us to our destination. We pass through a tree, but when I look back, it's meters away, if not out of sight completely. Are we flying? Magic. Being able to simply pass through any obstacles we encounter makes the walk much faster. Even so, I automatically step over debris, or turn my shoulder completely to avoid scraping the trunk of a tree when I can. I feel the heaviness in my chest start to fade as we trek on. Abigail catches my glance and smiles warmly. I smile back, genuinely now. Did you spend much time in the forest when you were alive?
I did. However, I never traveled very far. Why do you ask?
Because we're gonna be here for centuries and we gotta have something to talk about. I mean, I was just thinking about how you know your way around so well. It kind of reminds me of the girl I met here in the village, Morgan.
I've had plenty of time to see it all. It's simple, too, once you know how to do it. As long as you know where it is you're going, the forest will guide your way there. I'm certain you'll get the hang of it someday.
That's not really my goal here. I force an agreeable smile. In spite of everything, talking feels good, talking about anything, so I try to keep the conversation going.
What was Eisenfeld like back then? Much the same as it is today, as far as I can tell. Quiet and isolated, we rarely had any visitors. Even news of the outside world or the rest of the country was slow to arrive. But I longed for it, for the stories that would occasionally make their way to us. Sometimes friends of my father's would head to the city for a few weeks, taking the goods that we had grown and made to trade, and bringing back things we lacked. And they'd return with gifts for all of the children, my sister and I, or the little boy across the road. Gifts and stories about wondrous devices they'd seen, or about the marvelous people they'd met.
Her steps slow, and then come to a stop, and her eyes take on a far-off, dreamy look.
When I was alive, I always wished to see it for myself someday. Instead, I had to satisfy myself with books, and with other people's stories.
Her voice trails off, ending with a hum of satisfaction, remembering something but not speaking it. I wait quietly. It doesn't feel like the kind of moment that I should interrupt. Soon enough, she looks over at me with what I've come to think of as her typical smile.
I'm sorry, I hadn't really thought about these things in a while.
It's okay. I hope they're not painful memories. She shakes her head.
These ones aren't. What about you? There are so many things that I want to know, but I hardly know where to begin asking.
Abigail points up to the sky, devoid of any clouds right now.
Machines soar overhead day and night, but I've never known what they are. Or watching as Eisenfeld becomes more modern, but not understanding. I want to understand.
She looks at me expectantly, like I could quickly rattle off all the major inventions since her time and how they've changed our lives. From the way the corners of her eyes glimmer with tears, it's clear just how badly she wants to know. Must be horribly frustrating. She mentioned machines overhead. She must mean airplanes and satellites. How unbelievable would it sound to her that enormous metal craft can fly through the sky and carry hundreds of people? Or about cars and how just about everyone owns one. I'd need another 200 years and then some just to catch her up on what she's missed. And thinking about that for just a second, I feel like maybe I understand her loneliness a little bit better. Abigail quickly straightens up, maybe realizing that she was being kind of childish. She adjusts her impeccable collar and dodges my eyes.
I'm sorry. Again, that can wait. We have so many centuries to talk.
You're fine. I'm sure I'd feel the same way in your position. After we meet your friend, I'll tell you everything you want to know, or at least everything I can. I'm not exactly the best storyteller, and not very good at explaining why things work, but if that's still enough... I phrase it like a question, even though I already know what her answer will be. Sure enough, she springs toward me, skipping past like a stone.
Oh, would you? I'm sure you're wonderful at telling stories. I could tell from the way you read to me back at the church. Do you remember?
Like I could forget. That's a day I'll remember for the rest of my life.
Is it? Why's that?
Because, she crowds up close to me now. To be honest, she reminds me a bit of a film camera, zooming in, then out, then leaping past to focus on something else.
Well, that was the first day that we spent time together, right? And that's when you showed me your name.
Abigail goes very still. Several times she looks like she's on the verge of saying something, her mouth fluttering, or her half-gesturing something. But each time she stops.
I suppose it was. Just didn't realize it was that significant to you.
Of course it was. That day changed everything for me. But my tongue from saying more. Things didn't exactly change for the better. Deeper and deeper we go, and the forest gradually grows quieter. The rustling of creatures underfoot gets less and less frequent, then stops entirely. The birds chatter less, and then not at all. Even the wind settles down. Abigail is the only one who doesn't act any differently. She still hums to herself, or glances over her shoulder to make sure I'm still there. Like I have anywhere else to go. As we get further into the woods, the snow is thinner, and some places are totally without it. There are even a few patches of green, something that I'm pretty sure shouldn't be possible given the weather. The trees, which have been growing claustrophobically close together, start to spread out a bit more. I gasp when I see what's ahead of us. A grove of immense trees, larger than any I've seen before, lies before us. Like the redwoods back in America, they're so huge as to seem to hold up the sky. Totally bereft of snow, a few defiant branches hold leaves. They cast shadows over Abigail and I, and everything around us. An aura of life pervades the area. My skin prickles, the sensation is vivid, running up my arms like a spark. More than the church, where we are now feels like a holy place, something sacred and primal. As we pass by, I have the distinct feeling that I'm being watched from all sides. The back of my neck is slick with sweat, and I brush my forehead as the pressure of being observed starts to hit me harder. What is this place? I don't mean to, but my voice comes out as a whisper.
We're at the center of the forest now. These trees are the oldest ones here. They're the ancestors of all the rest. All of the life in the forest comes from here.
I believe it. There's a quiet vibrance to this place. I walk a little bit slower, feeling as if I don't want to cause a disturbance. I trail behind Abigail, who seems totally indifferent to the atmosphere. It makes sense. She's probably used to it, and this place luster has worn off for her. Can't help but gape. Without the snow that I've gotten so used to elsewhere, this feels like a wholly different place, another world altogether. Abigail leads me around one of the massive trees, and my jaw drops even further. Oh, it's the thing! Imagine that! There, crouched in a small clearing, is the forest spirit from the other night, the same one that stood in the storm and scared the hell out of Tara and me. Somehow it's much smaller now than it was then, though still several feet taller than me. Is it Groot? Yet one look into its piercing red eyes, and I know it's the same. Oh, it's got a little nest with a burb. It had been looking away, but it turns to face us. Its body creaks. Oh, it had been looking away but turns to face us. Its body creaks and crackles as it moves, like an old door rattling in the wind. My breath catches in my throat as I fight down the instinctive rising terror. Pocks and scars decorate the bark that forms its skin. Though it has a vaguely human form, its body is clearly wooden. Little trees wind together, interlocking to shape its body. It regards me with a kind of indifferent stare, similar to when we first witnessed it at the church. The impossibly red glow of its eyes is subtle now, and the previously winding and dying trees look more like its body than merely hugging more like its body is merely hugging itself. I look to Abigail to see her reaction, but she just watches the two of us with a slight smile, waiting to see what happens. That's when it hits me. This is your friend?
That's right.
She acts as plainly as if she just introduced me to a fellow human, not a mystical creature. Abigail leaves my side to go to the spirits, and she nuzzles her head against its side like a cat.
This spirit is the guardian of the forest. It helped me save you, just like it saved me long ago.
It shifts slightly to accommodate her. Standing a little bit taller, it makes no vocalizations, though, nothing close to speech. I see. I don't, really. Visions of its tall and imposing profile against the stormy sky really clash with what's in front of me right now. But still, I know she's telling me the truth. Take a fraction of a step forward, expecting it to bare its teeth or warn me off somehow. Doesn't react, though.
Does it have a name? If it does, I don't know it. I just think of it as the forest spirit.
Think back to how Morgan had first described it, as if the forest itself had come alive. I don't think she knew just how right she was. Its namelessness makes it feel even more wild and untamed. I can feel myself being regarded and judged by it, and I'm tempted to turn tail and run. I force myself to look up and to meet its gaze. When it stands still, it's unnervingly silent. It reminds me of a grotesque scarecrow, in a sense. From my peripheral vision, I can see Abigail look between the spirit and I, probably wondering if she should say something more, or, knowing her, wondering what to say. I preempt her.
I've come to say thank you for intervening and saving me. Abigail told me that you helped.
I don't really know how I can ever repay you. I owe you my life, or, well, whatever's left of it. Not sure what I could even offer a supernatural tree spirit to begin with. Its eyes watch me, impassive. I swallow the lump in my throat and keep talking. I don't know what happens now either. I'm still getting used to all this, but again, thank you. Then, not knowing what else to do, I bow stiffly and step backwards. Still, it doesn't react. The whole thing is awkward and uncomfortable, but as with everything else, I'm at a loss. I can't have a conversation with the thing, and the details of what exactly it did are sparse. Feels like a waste to have come all this way for just a few sentences, but I'm not sure it even understands those. It occurs to me that I have no idea how much the forest spirit knows or even cares about the affairs of humans. Guess it must care at least a little since I'm here. The spirit turns its head to face Abigail, who smiles and pats its side. She says something to it, but I'm too far away to hear what. Then, as wordless as ever, the spirit rises and lumbers off into the forest without a second acknowledgement. Abigail watches it go, then she turns and faces me with a bright smile.
So, what did you think?
She has all the pride of a child with a new toy. I stare after the spirit, still barely visible between the trees. I don't really know what to think. I'm part grateful, part terrified, part shocked, and when I saw it before, I thought it had to be a monster or something. It just seemed so ferocious and huge that I assumed it was evil. So seeing it like that is, weird.
Certainly intimidating at first. When we met, I was also rather fearful, but I quickly realized how kind and gentle it was, at least towards me.
I'm still brimming with curiosity over Abigail's own history, but she's made it clear that she doesn't want to tell me yet, so I won't pester her about it. Why wasn't it enormous this time?
It can make itself larger or smaller at will. The night that you saw it, it must have had a reason.
And you're able to talk to it and understand it?
Not quite. I speak to it and it understands me, but it doesn't have any words or language. Some of its mannerisms I've picked up over time. We've had quite a long time to get to know each other, after all.
Right. Abigail walks over and links her arm around mine. I startle at the touch, but more so how casual she is about it.
Ready to go back to the church, unless you'd rather stay here in the forest? I imagine you'd be more comfortable with walls and a roof around you for now, though.
Yeah, I would be. Let's go back. Arm in arm, she leads the way back. Well, guys. Oh, we're switching to Morgan, and this seems to be a perfect opportunity to go ahead and end off the episode. So, we're opening here, and we got Tara, and we got I'm Morgan, so we're going to go ahead and save. And we're going to end off the episode. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please be sure to leave a like and a comment down below, and make sure you are subscribed for more Heart of the Woods. Guys, next time, things are getting really interesting. Maddie's kind of sort of dead and kind of sort of definitely going to bang that ghost. And we're now going to see, I guess, the reaction from Morgan and Tara at some point, at least a little bit, to her disappearing, if not her being quote-unquote dead. So I hope you're excited for that. I know I am. I will see you in the next episode. Goodbye.